The Oid Zois, page Lamed Vav. The Oid Zois hi skulas ha'omal b'Torah. This too is the treasure that someone who toils in Torah has. Ha'adam miskadesh al yidei or ha'Torah. A person becomes holy through the light of Torah. Hu misroimem me'al l'tfisa ha'megushemes shel ha'chayim. He's lifted higher than a physical, outlook, a physical grasp of life. This is like one of the highest levels, the very end of Mitzvos Yesharim, the ability to transform his physical needs into spirituality, into ruchnias, like his eating and drinking become acts of ruchnias.
People always say that,
what?
In Moshe Shmuzim.
Yeah, but
always
there are many madrigas of it. In other words, there's a madriga of being involved in the physical and using that for kedusha, and then there's a madriga that's much higher, where the physical is actually kedusha. It's not a hachana for kedusha; it is kedusha, like putting an animal on the mizbeach. Like I think he'll bring, like pouring wine on the mizbeach. It's like an actual act of kedusha. The Mitzvos Yesharim explains the essence of a Talmud Chacham, the Perek HaKedusha. In the Perek of Kedusha, Kishama Kaima, because that's where it belongs. Ukedushas HaTorah Noira'ahi. The power of the holiness of Torah is awesome. HaNefesh HaChaim Mevaer, the Nefesh HaChaim explains, Ki kol ha'olamos yesh lahem shoresh begavei meraimim. Shmai, this is what I said over today, happens to be. Remember I spoke about the Torah in the beginning of Shir? That all the worlds, all the different olamas, because our world is connected to a higher world, which is connected to a higher world, almost, without number, until the Kisei HaKavod. All the worlds are connected up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ach ka'asher heim mishtalshelim milamayla lamata. But as they come down, world after world after world, each world serves as the pnimius of the world that comes after it, like a neshama to a guf, and then that guf is the neshama to the outer guf, a little bit like those dolls, and then that guf becomes the neshama to a. So that's how the worlds go, lower and lower and lower, more and more and more megushim, until the world before us, so to speak, the world above us, its physical existence, the totality of that world is where the shefa from Shemayim comes from to provide a connection to Ruchnius in this world. And that means that from the time something leaves Shemayim until it gets here, it has gone down, 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 until, let's say, this table. It's a physical object, very removed from being part of the Shechina. So, kasher heim mishtalshelim, as it comes down like a chain, shalshelis is a chain, milamayla lamata, from above to below, ad olam ha'asiya, until the world of asiya, the physical world. Yoiser v'yoiser mitztamtzem oiram ukedushasam. More and more, its light and kedusha becomes narrowed. Acha olam hazeh, until you come into this world, nasa chulin legamri. Most things in this world have no kedusha at all. Right? You go into the forest and there's a tree. It's not a holy tree, it's just a tree. Even though everything comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so everything should be holy. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu has this process where things that are kaviyachol removed from him are not considered kadosh, or at least their kedusha is not revealed. And memela megushim, it's physical, the karev l'ra, and it's close to evil. It's able to become, it's karev to ra. Loi kein Torah seinu hakdosha. The Torah is not that way. Im ki gam hi mishtalsheles me'olam la'olam. Even though the Torah itself also comes down from world to world, the way the Torah is in this world, talking about, a yavama, or someone gets married and didn't have children, those are this world concepts. Man and woman don't get married in upper worlds, right? It's just, this is where there's human beings. This is where there's that, and everything in the Torah, brachas on food, or nezikin, or hashavas aveda, all of that are things that are relevant to this world. The Torah in higher worlds is in a higher form. and there's parallels, but it's in a higher form. So the Torah also is mishtal shelas. It comes down me olam la'olam ad shehayrida Moshe Rabbeinu, until the point that Moshe Rabbeinu brought it down milamayla lemata, from above to below, l'seich olam hazeh, into olam hazeh. Af shegam he's quoting the Nefesh HaChaim. Even though the Torah also nishtal shalaviyarda, it went down like like a chain. It went down and down. Mimakar sharasha ha'elyon, from its root, from its source in Shemayim. Ba'kodesh, in holiness. Madregos ein shir, an unlimited amount of levels. May olam la'olam, from one world to the next. To mi madrega lemadrega. Im kol zais, with all this. Kedushasa harishayna. K'moy shehu b'mekar sharasha reishes darko b'kodesh. The kedusha of the Torah remains in this world exactly the way it was in Shemayim. It doesn't come down in madregas at all. It's almost hard to imagine. It means the Torah that we learn is the Torah as if it's like the Torah that's learned by the Kisei HaKavod. Even though if we heard the Torah being learned by the Kisei HaKavod, we wouldn't understand the word of it. Because the level of Kedusha is beyond that, we probably would die from hearing it. But when we learn, that's the level of the Kedusha. Kedushasa harishayna k'moy shehi b'mekar sharasha reishes darka b'kodesh k'dekoi koi, it remains gam b'zeh ha'olam, even in this world. Shekula kodesh, which is completely kodesh, but osur linag b'minik chayil chas v'shalom, and you cannot treat it with any amount of chayil at all. And this is the unbelievable segula of Torah, that's like it remains on the highest madrega, no matter what. Today in Shir I said over that's the pshat in the Medrash, that the Medrash says on v'yikchu li truma. So Chazal say, without getting into all the psukim involved, but Chazal say that it's a mashal to a melech who marries off his daughter, but he tells his new son-in-law, I can't separate from my daughter, so build me a house, and that's the Mishkan, that wherever you go, I will come along. It's not stam a cute statement as people think, Hashem wants to be close. That's not what it is. It's this. It's saying that the Torah, I can't separate from. The Torah is always on the madrega of being right by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's the madrega of Torah. Harei HaKadosh Baruch Hu hayrid es Torasei. Now the Mashgiach at least tries to explain it a little bit. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the Torah down l'toich hamusagim v'hatziyurim ha'enoshiyim shalanu, into the human ideas, like I explained earlier, human ideas and images, right? The Torah speaks about things that we recognize in this world, right? The Torah doesn't talk to us about things that are in other worlds. The Torah speaks to us about what's here. You want to drink water, you make a shahakol. It comes sukkah's time, take branches and make a sukkah. So it always talks about things that are here. Right? There's very, very, very olam hazeh concepts. The al derech zeh kol ha-mishnayos, all the mishnayos of the Torah. Ach b'kedushas ha-Torah, but in the kedusha of the Torah, lo yichal shum tzimtzum, no narrowness has taken place. U'kemoishe iksuva l'mayla be'eish chayra al gabi eish levana, just as it is written l'mayla, in black fire on top of white fire, the highest levels of kedusha. Kachi ha-Torah shlanu, our Torah is the same. Lochein miskadesh gam ha'odam ha'loimda b'kedusha elyoina. Therefore, the person that learns it is miskadesh with a tremendously high kedusha. Umisroimem umisala, he becomes uplifted. Me'ala ta'avosav hagashmiyim, even above his physical taivas. Torah has the capacity to connect us to something much, much, much higher than ourselves, and it makes us look at the whole world from an uplifted vantage point. B'milim kitzaros, in few words. Mevate zois moron bala chazanish nishmasa yeden. The Chazanish expresses this b'igeres achas in one of his letters. And he says, "V'ikar segulas haTorah, the main treasure of the Torah, lahavi es ha'adam, it brings a person l'roimimus ila'a, to a very high roimimus, u'lahaker chayvasei ba'olamai, to recognize his obligation in this world." And it's ba'a al yedei amela shel Torah, it comes from the hard work of Torah. V'chol sheha'adam moisef b'yigiyasei, the more a person adds to his toil, Menatek bazeh chevlei hayetzer, the ropes of the Yetzer Hara become detached. Umema'es b'ta'anugei hahavolim, and he rejects foolish pleasures. V'nafshay mishtaykekes, and his heart yearns. L'rigshay kodesh, to feelings of kedusha. V'oinig hachachma, and the pleasure of chachma. Umesek taharas halev, and the sweetness of the purity of heart. V'hahakara shaloi basar v'dam ha'adam, that an adam is not merely flesh and blood, but an adam is a chelik of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You find this by Talmidei Chachamim, that you just could see the difference. You're sitting by a table, by a tish, by a suda. The Talmidei Chachamim somehow just not being as pulled by the food as the other people around the table. It doesn't distract them as much. They're able to stay in a higher place. They're not as we have a certain tremendous childish part of ourselves when it comes to our desires, and it even comes out mamish in childish ways. Who ate the last piece of cake, and just like I chapped a taiva for food, or whatever it is, and you look at Talmidei Chachamim, and they're just like that much more b'shalva. They're not so. They're okay. They're okay. Yeah, I'm a little hungry. What can I bring you to eat? Whatever you find. They're not. It's not an act. They're b'shalom. They're b'menucha, and that comes from their connection to Torah, which lifts them up from this world. It's not as desperate to pull to this world. It's just not so desperate, and that's a tremendous aliyah for them. I guess every time that we toil in Torah, this is before Shavuos, right? Every time that we toil in Torah, we get a little bit of a taste of it. And if somebody has worked on a sugya for a few hours, you feel it a little bit like, what does the world have to offer me? The world has nothing to offer me. This is where it is. This is everything. This is what energizes us. And that's the segula. The segula of the clarity of Torah, and the segula of Torah, and it's the reason why the people that toil so much in Torah and they work so hard with such mesiras nefesh, but aren't we jealous of them? They're the happiest people in the world, because one of the things that cause distress and pain in this world is when all of our desires are pulling at us, and when a person could step away from it and just engage in a world of ruchnius, isn't that the most desirable thing? Living just like above it, like the words that he uses in the beginning, me'al tfisa hamegushemes shel hachayim, above a physicalized, excuse the made-up words, above a physicalized grasp of the world. I just don't look at the world that way anymore. I see the world in a different light, and that's the unbelievable school of Torah. Okay, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be mizaka us. Amen.